2024 in Rise of Kingdoms has been a fairly big year. We've seen quite a few new features, quite a few new commanders, some in-game stuff like brand new KVKs, but overall it wasn't the most crazy year. So today I'm going to be talking about my predictions for 2025 in Rise of Kingdoms. What could we see releasing within the next year into the game? So today we're going to go over the things that are confirmed to be coming in 2025 and some stuff that I personally think has a very good chance of showing up. So if you're interested in the 2025 Rise of Kingdoms and what it may look like, you want to stick around till the end of the video. Now let's start off quickly by going over some stuff that we saw over 2024. Some things that I'll say that were features released into the game. And the first key one would be we've kind of seen a bit of a focus on new types of commanders. I mean, Leo Chair, I'm pretty sure released in 2023 or really early this year. And obviously, he's a new type of commander. I mean, he released around the end of 2023. So he's a new type of commander in terms that he has smite damage. But we've seen a bit of another move towards different types of commanders with archers and their mighty heal. And I think that's definitely something we should keep in mind as we're moving into 2025. The fact that archers and just in general commanders have seen a little bit of a shift in that regard. On top of this year, we've seen brand new museum relics. Those are always interesting. We've seen some museum relics for a lot of later commanders than you would have previously thought. So commanders like Ramses and Artemisia, commanders like Guan and Leo, all those did come out this year. We've also seen another little bit of a shift. We've got a new civilization coming very soon, which is interesting. I think it's the Mayan civilization, so that is neat. And other than that, we haven't seen too much too crazy this year. I mean, we've got new KVK formats, new commanders, all stuff like that we've got. But generally, this year has been pretty tame for Rise of Kingdoms. I think also the equipment tiers did come out this year, so iconic attributes. They did release this year. I might be slightly off. I mean, the years just kind of blend together when you get to my age. You know, I'm 65. So I might be a bit off with what released this year, but I'm pretty sure iconic attributes released this year. And other than that, it has been a fairly tame year for Rise of Kingdoms. But I'm going to start to go over my predictions for the future of 2025 Rise of Kingdoms, what we will see. And the first thing we can say, guaranteed that's going to come, we've got that new civilization. That Mayan civilization is going to come around December 2024 or probably into January 2025 if I were to make a guess. That is almost a guarantee. So we'll definitely see that new civilization coming. We may even see two civilizations. Generally, we get one per year, so I doubt we'll see a second one in 2025. But if the Mayans release this year, then technically by around December next year, we will see another civilization. So two civilizations or one civilization within the next year and a bit. Pretty much a guarantee. Lilith does generally release one civilization per year. So I could definitely see the Mayans as a possibility. The last civilization we got was Greece, and that was quite a while ago now. So definitely high chances of seeing another civilization coming into the game. Another thing that's also confirmed is the new commander exchange. There's going to be a commander exchange where you can exchange, I'm guessing it's your old commanders like YSG from KVK1 for some newer commanders. And I'm going to talk about that later. It definitely says a bit of a trend that Lilith is going for. But other than that, that's a guarantee. We're going to see some type of a commander exchange in 2025. Lilith has spoken a little bit about what it looks like. The fact that you'll be able to swap some of your old commanders. Each account will be able to do it one time, so each character. And you can do two different swaps. So you could, for example, for me, I could swap YSG and maybe I can swap Cyrus. So those are what a commander switch is going to be. Very interesting. Definitely a bit of a trend set for what I think we're going to see in 2025. But that is another thing we have a pretty much guarantee for. The last thing I would personally guarantee is new commanders. I don't think Lilith is going to stop releasing commanders. That wouldn't make sense. So I could pretty much guarantee we're going to see more commanders as we move into 2025. We're going to see new infantry, we're going to see new archers, and we're going to see new cavalry. So guaranteed 2025, new commanders, and that's going to be quite interesting. So now that we've finished going over the guaranteed stuff, generally what we're going to see in 2025, what do I think is not fully guaranteed but would be my predictions? And the first thing I'm going to predict is I think this is going to be the year of the cavalry units again. I think we're going to see a return in cavalry power just because cavs haven't really been too meta for quite a while. I mean, Belisarius is meh, Hauche being meh, Nevsky at this point is starting to fall off, And Joan even then, her damage isn't as overpowered as some of the newer commanders. So I do think that we're going to see something new with cavalry, whether it be combo damage, whether it just be new powerful commanders. They're both very possible. And I would say that both of those have a good chance of occurring in 2025. And that's why I think we're going to see a year of cavalry. Infantry have had their heyday for a little while. I think it's time that Cavs get their chance back in the sun again. Archers, also in my opinion, do have a chance of being meta, but we'll see that towards the end of 2025. That's basically 2026 by the time they'll release, so archers are kind of negligible. But Cavs, definitely there's a chance we see a year of cavalry where they kind of become the meta unit for at least a solid 6 to 8 months until new archers release and maybe even cavalry after that. Because infantry right now, I think that Lilith is not going to go too crazy with them again, because they are already kind of overpowered. So if we see more OP infantry commanders, it'll definitely be quite a surprise to me. Ragnar is just really, really good. Leo Chair is really, really good. Even Scipio right now, I'd say it's arguably better than Nevsky. William Wallace is good. Even Scipio Aemilianus is good right now. So there's a very good chance infantry take kind of a backseat in terms of the commanders, and we do see some sort of a cav meta. In my opinion, definitely something that's gonna probably happen. And then again, we could see Archer meta, but that would be at the end of 2026. We usually see Archers release around October each year, sometimes a little bit earlier. I think that Zhu Lang was around May, but the commander times generally change, and they usually come a couple of months after or a little bit before when they previously released. So we're probably going to see Archers December 2026, or we're going to see them in like August 2026. But by then, Cavs would have had a very long time in the meta. So Year of the Cavalry, I would say, pretty much a guarantee. So all you Cav mains out there, you can stop whining about how your Nevsky can no longer wipe out a whole entire murder ball, because you're probably going to have another chance following the upcoming commander release. The next thing I think we're going to see in 2025, a bit of a move towards ranged commanders for newer players, even maybe older players. We might start to see a bit of a move towards them. Mayan Civilization is confirmed to have a range buff. So pretty much I'm going to say that we're going to see something ranged in KVK 1. I reckon the Epic and the Legendary will both be ranged commanders. There's going to be some integration of that range formation, that means, or just some way to put the range commanders in KVK 1, and we're going to just see it more in Season of Conquest. The biggest drawback for range commanders was the fact that they're not in early KVKs, so if the new civilization has range commanders in them, then, I mean, we're probably going to see a bit of a ranged push in the early game. So we could definitely see a lot more ranged. It could end up a little bit like Call of Dragons, where ranged are the meta and the majority of players end up investing in it. So range commanders, definitely, I think their year is also going to come. Now, range have always been a bit more niche, so I think Cavs will still hold a bit more overall usage, but I think range are going to become much more powerful, and they're going to be in those early KVKs, which means a lot more players will just consider using siege and ranged commanders as well. So 2025, we're going to see, I reckon, a lot about ranged commanders, especially with the Mayan Civilization releasing, which is probably going to give at least 2 epic commanders, I would say, because most early game players want epic commanders. And then we're probably going to see some legendary range commander as well. So both of those things essentially guaranteed, in my opinion, next year, and just something that we are going to be seeing. On the topic of newer players and also, I guess, returning players, something else I think we're going to see in the upcoming year is a bit of a move towards caring a lot more about the newer player experience and the older players. I mean, Lilith has always kind of focused on new players. It's kind of been a thing, but there's been this really big dilemma recently around new players in KVK 1 and 2 and what commanders you invest in, because anything you invest in just isn't good in Season of Conquest because of how outdated it is. And I think this new commander swap is definitely a step towards that, and is probably Lilith's way of saying we're going to make it so that new players can pretty much be competitive with all the endgame players as well once they do hit Season of Conquest. So new players versus endgame players, I think we're going to start to see a bit of a shift towards giving new players a bit more of an advantage. In my opinion, that's good for the health of the game. That's definitely a good thing. So new players, pretty much guaranteed we're going to see something about that. And returning players who come back after like 2 years or so and have just like rocked up and they're like, we're kind of screwed. We have no new commanders. We'll also be seeing probably a push to get those new players or those returning players back into playing the game by giving them a little bit of an advantage, or just a way to get their account back on track without having to spend a ton of time and a ton of money. So there's definitely going to be a bit of a focus onto that new player experience. I think it's a pretty much guarantee for what we see once the new updates are fully out. Now, this could be early 2025. That's my guess, because Lilith said they're going to release all the new commander stuff pretty early, and this is going to be a really big focus of the year. So if you're a returning player or someone who's considering returning, do it during 2025. That would probably be the best time for you, especially after that commander refund comes out, or commander swap. So definitely there's going to be some focus on that. Maybe we've already had a remodeled KVK1, but maybe we just see a KVK1 where you can just use Season of Conquest commanders. It's possible. I don't see why it wouldn't be. Then again, maybe this commander swap is so that you in KVK1 as a new and early game player can just invest in someone like YSG and use them. So in my opinion, really good move on Lilith's behalf, but that's not what today's video is for. It is more about what I predict. So I think new game players and returning players will be a really big focus of next year, something that we see at least talked about more, and a few more updates that kind of cater towards them. So commander swapping is a really good example of this, and I think that is something we should consider. Also, resources. We're going to see less of a, market for buying resources against terms of service and stuff, because they're getting a resource refund in KVK. So stuff like that, we're probably going to see more quality of life things, where we get to play the game more without grinding as much, which is a good thing for players. So someone like, let's say, a free-to-play low spender who doesn't spend money on packs, you get less resources overall. Someone who doesn't want to buy resources from people who are selling resources, which breaks the game rules, you're going to get less resources, obviously. So the resource return each KVK is very nice, especially since the biggest hinderer for most people in KVK is their resources, because speed ups are generally not the hardest thing to get. Especially if you spend a bit of money, you get a lot more speed ups. So I think that resource return guaranteed in 2025, something that's going to be really good for a lot of players. And it's probably going to reflect a bit of a move for Rise of Kingdoms, as the game's going to move a bit away from the grindiness, because a lot of people are starting to find it monotonous. I've heard a lot of people say, I just don't want to log in every day and send my gatherers just so I can fight for like 1 KVK and have to repeat it all again. I think we're going to see a bit of a move away from that, and just a bit of a move towards more meta commanders and new types of things in the game. So for example, we'll probably see some change to equipment this year, whether it be a new level of refinement, whether it be a new tier of equipment, which I doubt, but something to equipment, pretty much a guarantee. Usually we get some change to equipment once a year. I'd say that we could see something again, probably towards the end of 2025, but that is another prediction I have. Something to do with equipment, probably going to happen, just again to give Lilith a little bit of that income flow, because if they're going to be giving resource returns, they're giving commander swaps to every single player, I mean, there's going to be a bit of a hit on how much money they're going to be making from all that stuff. So overall, we're probably going to see some new features in that regard, where we see either a lot of new commanders, we either see a big power jump in commanders, so people are incentivized to get the really new commanders, or we'll see some change to equipment, or even armaments. Armaments, there's a good chance we see some change to them. Maybe there's more legendary enchants. Maybe there's a way to get them with spending money, or a way to grind them out. That could be possible. But right now, Lilith has been taking a bit of a move away from that grinding, which obviously I love, and I'm sure most people like. Less grind is better. So there's definitely going to be some move away from grinding, but there's going to be something to compensate for that. So we'll have to see what that ends up being. In my opinion, probably something to do with equipment, or something to do with armaments. I doubt we'll get a whole new system. I don't think that would make a lot of sense. Probably just focusing more in on the armaments and the equipment themselves. Another little bit more niche prediction for me is that we may see some easily accessible 10% city skins. They're putting 20% zeniths. I mean, I highly doubt they're going to just leave everybody at a 5% skin. We have seen gradually some skins being slightly better, like this infantry skin right here. It's technically slightly better. I mean, you get 5% attack and 5% gathering speed. So some of the epic skins have been getting slightly stronger, very minor amounts, but this Cav skin's also got gathering speed. So this kind of stuff I think we're going to see over the year. The epic skins are going to probably power creep up a little bit, which is good. I mean, we all like free city skins that get us a bit stronger. So maybe by the end of the year, we see a 10% attack or defense skin for each troop type or something like that. So there's a good chance, because we're getting 20% zeniths. So I don't think Lilith is going to just leave all the epic skins at still 5%. The majority of us have a 5% health skin for like every troop type. I have like 2 for every single troop type. So I think we're going to see some power creep of the epic skins, which is good. They're always completely free anyways. So something new with epic skins, almost a guarantee. And then obviously we're going to see that 20% zenith. Over the year, we're probably going to see a 20% health zenith eventually come out. And that will end up being the most powerful skin in the game at the time. So right now, there's a couple of 15% healths out there that were zenith. So for example, the Archer, 15% health. Lilith is going to creep those out over the coming year. And that's just a small thing, but I do think it is worth mentioning. And in my opinion, it will most likely happen. It's one of my big key predictions for the year. So that's it. They're my predictions for 2024. Of course, they're really broad, because I mean, you can't really predict what's going to happen in Rise of Kingdoms. but it is always fun to try. So just as a recap, because this video was quite jumbled up, I'd say my predictions are a lot of focus on new players, a lot of focus on some type of a new equipment, a bit more of a casual form of the game where you don't have to grind as much. Probably, I want to say a new type of city skin, like the way that they work with the city skins, and that's pretty much it. They're my predictions for the year. Of course, we've got all the stuff that's pretty much guaranteed, like the new civilization, the commander exchange, and also new commanders overall. But that is all my predictions for the year. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think your predictions are. And other than that, I just want to say thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.